Well, awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I've been such a longtime fan of the band, and it's so great to see that some new music is coming out in just a couple weeks now. And what an amazing album you guys have here with Vanagandr, and just like all the tracks on here, just like it fits so well together, and it's so worth the wait that's been going on for the last 8 years. I mean, you guys have just put it together an incredible album here.
Thanks a lot, man. Glad to hear that. And yeah, I think you sums it up pretty well there, actually. With we feel that the whole album is really solid with all the tracks. There's like, yeah, if we should talk about cliches such as all killers, no fillers, and so on. And also, yeah, it took a lot of time, but hopefully it's worth the wait for the people who's been waiting, and hopefully there's also some new fans ready to come along with this one. So yeah, I mean, 8 years. So I guess for many people, it's they're gonna regard it as some kind of comeback album or whatever. But and I guess it is in some aspects, even though we never really. For us, the band has always, we have seen it as an active band. We do a few live shows every year and so on, you know, like, and yeah, we've been kept writing on this album for a very long time, but in a slow pace, doing quite some careful demos, and even, you might even call them pre-productions, and, you know, like, just wanted to make sure that we feel that all the tracks and all the songs, and mainly every second on the album, is justified in some way.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate so much, is rather than putting out just like a big quantity of albums, you guys make sure to put out the best quality albums. And you know, sometimes that does take 8 years to make that happen. And you know, it's just like you know, so many things can happen within a band and in life in general, and it's just, I'm just so happy to see that the album has seen the light of day, and it is coming out in a couple weeks now, on the 6th of August. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, from start to finish, I mean, it just feels like that quality album that I expect from you guys. And you know, it's just like it took a while, but it was absolutely worth it.
And yeah, I mean, for us, this band is not our profession, or what puts food on our table, or what we make a living from. So that also puts us in a different position if you compare it to other bands, maybe, which where they have some decisions to make from a business perspective, and they're like, oh yeah, we need to have an album out by this year and by this month. We never really had to take such things into consideration. Sometimes it feels like it would be good for us, though, maybe someone telling us that you need to do this by this time. But on the other hand, it gives us total freedom to, you know, that we can doesn't really have to put any pressure on, and that we need to release something no matter what. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of music being released, obviously. There's a lot of great music that has been done already. And now when we're in this position, I see no point of just, you know, releasing something just for the sake of releasing something. So yeah, I guess from that point of view, we're in a good position, even though it's a bit different maybe from other bands.
Yeah, and you know, that totally makes sense too. I mean, when it's not the first thing that you have to worry about in life, and it's not your full-time jobs. I mean, obviously a lot of priorities come together with that. And again, that's what makes me so happy that it did actually see the light of day, because there are so many things that can happen in life that can derail an album coming out. Or, you know, sometimes it's just time, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's other world factors, like we just been through and still currently going through with the world with the pandemic. And you know, it's just, there's so many things that can happen. But when you do get together and you get to play, you get to write, you get to do the pre-production and everything, I mean, as long as it feels natural and you get to have that creative freedom, that's got to be such a great feeling.
Yeah, and yeah, especially now. I mean, we've been going on for quite some years, and we have some experience, and yeah, we're all in our 40s or even more. So that also gives. I think we should try to use that experience for something. And I mean, if we were 20 years old and doing our first album, then obviously we would have a different mindset. I mean, that also has an advantage, you know, this youthful enthusiasm, and that can make great albums as well, just on, you know, sheer will, and you don't really have any mental barriers, and you can't do this or you can't do that. So I guess there's an advantage for both stages in life and in your music career and so on. But we just try to do the best of what we have and what we are right now. So yeah.
Oh, totally. So with that in mind, I mean, what did it start? I mean, with the songwriting process and everything, I mean, when did it start really feeling like the songs were coming together and things were getting together for that album?
Yeah, we had actually the opening track, Döpt dem i eld, which was our first single and video track as well. I think it was more or less done by 2015, actually. Yeah, then parts of songs came along one by one in quite a slow pace. But I think probably by end of 2019, start 2020, that's when we feel like, okay, so now we're getting somewhere, and we thought that we had the material ready for the album. We also started to get the lyrics together, and yeah, you know, you come to a certain point when you feel like, okay, now it's time to go. And then we kind of laid out the plans for the recordings and productions, booked the studios needed and so on for 2020. And that was actually about the same time as the outbreak with the pandemic. But yeah, luckily for us, I mean, there was never a lockdown in Sweden. We had quite a controversial, I would say, take on the restrictions thing and so on, comparing to rest of Europe. So yeah, I mean, nowadays we are doing a lot of work remotely anyway for these productions. So the pandemic itself didn't really put any obstacles in a way, I would say, and things simply went on according to plan during 2020. And I think the final master was done around New Year's Eve, actually, 2020.
Oh, that's so cool, and a great way to be able to bring in the new year too. I mean, when you're able to say that the album's mastered, and you know, you just have the rest of the album to worry about, and yeah, I mean, that's just a great way to bring in 2021.
Yeah, I think we had some kind of like a New Year's Eve cheer within the band over the over at our different channels and so on, just between the five of us, like, yeah, you know, listen to the final master, have a glass of champagne and celebrating the new year. So yeah, it was a suitable timing there.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, thinking about that as well, too, I mean, with being able to have the album ready for the new year, you know, obviously a lot of things come with that afterwards, and, you know, like doing press right now. And one of the things that usually comes after with is the album cover, which I find to be one of the best album covers that you guys have had so far. I mean, the detail that goes into this, the color that's used, I mean, everything that goes into this album cover and the representation just fits so perfectly.
Yeah, I think so too. We're really happy about it in the end. Felt like quite a challenge though when when we started, because yeah, we had this title Vanagandr, which is an alternative name for the wolf creature Fenrir from the Norse mythology, which is quite a well-known creature and image that has been used a lot within metal music and this music scene. So yeah, when we came to the cover artwork, we felt a bit challenged actually. Like, okay, so we need to put a wolf on the cover for a new album. So how are we going to do that? Because yeah, there are a lot of them, and a lot of them being released all the time, and it's probably one of the most used and popular motifs. So yeah, we were a bit hesitant, and we had some different artists trying out, and but it just kind of fell through. And then Niklas Sundin came up, which we had been working with previously, actually, on the Vansinnesvisor album back in 2002. And yeah, we were happy about this work back then, and couldn't really recall why we hadn't reconnected before or worked with him. But yeah, he was totally up for it, and had the time and motivation, and we just had a great process, obviously with a lot of ideas back and forth, a lot of sketches back and forth. And yeah, he also did some artworks for the single and video releases we did this spring. But yeah, I agree, even though it's not maybe the most original one, it's really striking, and both with this beast and also it feels really dramatic with the skies behind, and as you say, a lot of great details. So I think it works both. It works both in a smaller format, but I think it would look awesome in a bigger format as well, like a flag or poster or backdrop or whatever, because it has some great detail work into it. And I think he did an awesome job, actually.
Oh, for sure. And it'd be incredible to see the artwork when it's on a banner or anything like that, especially like on vinyl too. I mean, it would just be so cool to be able to have that big piece of vinyl and being able to see the details right in it right before you put it in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's one thing that when we signed a deal with our current label, Despots Records, that was maybe like the number one thing that we checked. But because our last album was not released on vinyl, strangely enough, didn't seem to be a priority back then. But I mean, of course, today it's even more important than vinyls compared to CD records, I think, at least in Sweden. But I think even back in 2013, it was the vinyl was like, if you're gonna do some physical releases, that's the way to go. And so that was a big letdown with the last album. So now we wanted to make really sure that, yeah, now we need to do it properly on the vinyls. And so we're doing actually 2 gatefold editions initially with this one. One is hand numbered to 500 copies, and then the second printing will have some gray and black marbled vinyl. But both is on. I don't have the vinyls with me yet, unfortunately. But from the design files, it should look really awesome. I think it will have insert sheet and vinyl gatefold packaging and so on. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the final physical copy of it.
Oh, I am as well, and I'm glad you brought that up too, about like the importance of vinyl, especially nowadays, and being on a label that does care about vinyl, like Despots Records. I mean, before you guys joined, I mean, they already had an incredible clientele that they have in their rankings, and I was very happy to see when you guys did sign with them, because to me, they've always been such a great label, and it feels like a great fit for you guys.
Yeah, I hope so. And I mean, they're a bit different label comparing to what we've been working with earlier. We've been working with quite, how should I put it, typical metal labels, while Despots it's more of a music label. Actually, they have quite a wide spread of musical styles within their bands. But yeah, I think they were. To us, it looks like their focus is both on actual physical releases. They love that. They have a background in the packaging industry and so on, care about how these small details and how things turn out in the end. But they also have a good focus on the digital part and the future of consuming and promoting music, which even if the vinyl is having some kind of reissue right now, and some people will always like to have physical releases and possessions. I mean, the future is digital if you look on it on a major scale, I think, and that is not going to change. I can't see that change. So I think it's good to have focus on both these aspects. And also, if you decide to do physical releases, you should put just as much as you can into it and make it a real something special and a bit extra for those who wants them. Because I think the market for, like a regular CD record in a jewel case or something, I mean, that's going to be even smaller every year, I think.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. And I mean, so much of music is either bought online or streamed or checked out on social media, and that's why like having that presence of like music videos is so important. Having singles is so important to be able to get the words out. And I really feel like you guys have chosen some great songs to be able to represent the album so far in that regard.
Yeah, and it's like what we talked about earlier, that we feel that all the songs are really good on the album. So it was a really hard choice to select 3 singles from it. And I think in the end, we pretty much went on our label's recommendation on this, actually, because we just couldn't really decide. For me personally, I think it could have been any 3 songs on the album. But these 3, I think, yeah, it's a good representation. The first one is a bit more up-tempo, more symphonic and so on. Kind of reminds in part of the earlier days of the band. The second one is the slowest and most epic song on the album. And the third one is maybe a bit more grim and raw with some blast beats and a bit grittier. So it shows kind of 3 different sides of the band, which is probably why we came to these 3 in the end. But yeah, it's really hard picking singles, and we never really done that before. And these are actually our first singles and our first music videos that we ever done properly. So it's not something that we were really experienced with, or like okay, we're really good at picking out single tracks. But of course, the band and the writer of the song is always going to have opinions, but the question is if who has the best opinions here. And so
Oh, very true. And I'm one of those people that I'm still very much an album guy. I love being able to listen to the album from start to finish, and I love knowing why the track listing is in that order and seeing how everything ebb and flows together. So yeah, I mean, when you have so many great solid songs together, and you can be proud of them, and like you said, you can be able to choose any 3 songs and you think that they would be great to show off the album. It's still I think a great representation, being able to show off all those different sides for, people that are new to the band. People have been waiting for you guys to be able to come back, and with the support of Despots Records now, being able to open to a new variety of people as well too, because like you said, they are much more of a music label than a metal label.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. And I'm what you said in the beginning. I'm an album guy as well, and that's really how I see the like the art or the final product from us. That's the album, like these 8 songs in this order with this cover artwork and so on. And then for the singles, that's a way of a new thing that we have to learn. And I mean, I don't mind it. It's a cool thing. And I mean, nowadays people expect songs to be released for the album. And I mean, some people are going a completely different route, like releasing 1 song every week or something until the album is until you have 8 songs, or some people are even skipping the idea of a traditional album. But I think that for me, the classic album format is also a part of the actual art. And for example, like the Metallica albums in the 80s, like they had these these 8, it was always 8 tracks. It started with a fast song, then came the title track, which was a bit more epic, and the long song, and so on. And they had this formula, and so it was kind of an art itself to put together an album in a certain order with a certain atmosphere and dynamics and so on. So maybe that's a dying format and a dying idea. I don't know, but I think for our generation, it's always going to be important, and we're going to think of it as an album rather than songs.
Oh, very much so. And to flip that coin once again, and thinking about like singles and individual songs, I mean, I've got to think, especially with this being the first time with it coming with music videos, that had to be really cool to be able to see that visually for the first time. Like being able to see people's reactions to the songs, being able to put that all together and getting that final word on what everything's going to look like. I mean, when you can put a music video together, let alone having 3 singles from an album, that's really cool as well.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, as I said, this was actually the first time we did a proper music video. We did a few pathetic attempts, I think maybe during our first album or something, but it was just so low budget and so unprofessional, and it was never released. And we're just glad that there were no YouTube back then. So yeah, but now we find, obviously our label demanded it pretty much. I mean, they were also helping out with the whole thing, the production and the economics behind it, and so we were up for it. We were a bit nervous, of course. It was not something to really used to. We were also quite dead set on that we needed a really experienced and talented guy who could direct it and produce the whole thing, wrap it up. Especially as ours, I mean, we could easily have thrown a lot of ideas around about it. Let's do it like this, and I mean, our ideas were also part of this, but we needed someone who was on top of its game to make sure that that the whole thing turned out in the quality that we want. So this was also in the beginning of 2020, and we knew quite early on that we have to do it within Sweden, which is maybe not the best country from a financial point of view to do these kind of things, because I know historically a lot of bands, I mean, it pays off to travel abroad and do a video in a different country. You get a lot more for your money in terms of quality and so on. So we realized we had to do it in Sweden, and we did this kind of thoroughly research, watching other videos to, pick it up, like this is how you should do it and this is how you should definitely not do it. And we just kind of ended up with Patrik name, which is one of the most well-known and renowned metal video directors in Sweden. And we felt like, okay, so we pretty much felt like it's him or no one, really. And luckily he was up for it, and it worked out from all points of view. And yeah, I'm really happy and a bit relieved that the result was so good. So now we have 2 videos, and I think both of them are top notch, and that's pretty much where we set the level now.
No, and it's so great to see how it did come together that way, and being able to find like a top tier guy like Patrik being able to direct, and obviously with a like you said, being able to travel abroad might be the best financial way to be able to do it and get more bang for your buck. But, I really do love the quality that came out with the videos, and looking back on that as well too, I mean, like the overall presentation of what's going on with this album right now, I mean, it's just it's so great to see everything coming out here with singles, with videos, with the actual album, anything to look forward to in the future. I mean, it's just great to see the band is back in top form right now, and again on the 2nd of August through Despots Records, seeing this album coming out and seeing the light of day, and being a longtime fan, I'm just so happy to see everything come together this way.
Yeah, glad to hear that, man. And there was one thing I should add about the video thing. Sorry, slipped my mind.
Oh, that's quite all right. So, thinking about that as well too, I mean, obviously with the album coming out in a couple weeks, and so much preparation that's going into it, I mean, what's going to be coming up next after the release of the album?
Yeah, that's a tricky question, because it's like every band who releases an album right now, it's a very unsure situation with everything. Obviously, what you want to do is go out and play these songs live to people, bang your head and see them bang their head to it. I mean, that's the that's the basic thing, really, and obviously what everybody wants to do. But we kind of ended up in a strange position here, because as it seems now, things are starting to move in the right direction regarding the live thing. And I know that in the US it's actually happening right now. Europe is a bit behind, but it seems like the tours and festivals for 2022 is happening, which is great if it does. But on the other hand, those are the bands and lineups that were booked in 2020. So yeah, they need to happen first before there is a clean slate, if you know what I mean. So until then, we're just have to be on our toes and see if there are holes in the in the bills that we can step in on. But yeah, we'll try to. Obviously, we want to go on stage as soon as possible and play these songs and the old songs as well, because it's been a long wait. But yeah, a bit tricky situation right now, both for us, but yeah, for the whole industry, of course.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I'm glad to see that things are starting to go in the right direction. And I hope it doesn't go in reverse and start going back to the way that it was. And, the festivals are able to keep going, anything that's going on this year and in 2022 and everything that's going forward, and just really pull them for you guys to be able to get out there and play these songs live, because I mean, all these songs feel like that they'd fit so well in that live setting. And just knowing that you guys are playing shows again on festivals, I mean, it's so cool when you guys are able to have those opportunities.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, as a person, I'm a bit I try to stay a bit negative about things, and then I get positively surprised, hopefully. But I mean, we just have to. No one really knows, even though, of course, everybody is dead set on that 2022 are going to happen. But in a way, the situation in Europe, it's pretty similar to how it was 1 year ago, when everybody was like, okay, so it's off now, but at least it's going to happen in 2021. That's for sure. But I mean, pretty much the whole festival summer in Europe got cancelled, and maybe a few selected smaller things are happening, like right now. But yeah, we'll hopefully I will be positively surprised, and that we will land a few gigs in 2022. And otherwise, we just have to wait another year, I guess.
Oh, very true. And you know, I think with that, I think that's a great way to be able to end this talk, you know, like looking forward to those live shows whenever they do eventually happen. And again, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time to be able to do this interview, talk about this amazing new album coming out on the 2nd of August through Despots Records. I love this album. I've been waiting for so long for some new material, and it's everything that I wanted it to be, with having no idea what directions it was going to be going in. Easily one of my favorite albums of the year. And it's been great to be able to talk to you about everything that's been happening and everything to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, great. It's been my pleasure, and glad to hear your words about the album and everything. And yeah, let's keep our fingers X that things keep moving in the right direction. Yeah.